Oh, I'm so excited. If you guys are watching this replay, we are about to open the doors and get things started. So feel free to grab a cup of something delicious if you'd like. We're just going to be a few moments while we let everybody in. All right. Hello, everybody. Oh, I'm so excited. Hi, Julie. Hi, Jody. Haley.
I'm Natalie. I'm using my sister's computer, so it says Allie.
Oh,
Hi.
oh, it's so good to see you.
You too.
All right, Carrie, I'm putting you on waiting room duty. And all right, it's the top of the hour. So I'm going to get started because you guys know me. I can talk about this stuff for hours and hours and hours. I have a real hard time staying to those timelines when I get talking about this stuff. All right, so I am going to share my screen with y'all. If you have any questions at any point, feel free to post them in the chat box. I'll take a look in there, and Carrie, who is my beautiful assistant for today, will also be in there checking on things. So if you need anything, whatnot, feel free to pop it in the chat box. We'll be paying attention to it. All right. Can everyone see the slides? Are we good? And it's just the slides, it's not like a whole messy background of my desktop.
Looks good.
Excellent. All right. I'm going to just pop your beautiful faces over here in the corner so that I can see. Excellent. All right, guys. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here, for coming. I'm really excited about this. There is a huge, huge boom coming, and period coaching is that thing. And I'm very excited to bring this out into the world for you guys. So thank you. We're going to dive into all this good stuff. First things first, let me know where you guys are in the world. I can't tell you how cool it is to see the applications for the school coming in and people from all over the world. It's so exciting. In fact, we just had someone from China today sign up. So that's very exciting. My first person in China. That's fun for me. So we've been having a really good time with all this. And let me know as well, what business are you in, or if you are just starting a business or just thinking about starting a business. It doesn't matter wherever you are along the way. I would just love to see where everyone's at and how they're doing. Oh, hi, Jen. Yay. Excellent. We've got some Aussies. Hi, Aussies. Falkland Islands. Ooh, the bottom of South America. Man, that is so on kind of the high end of my travel list someday when we're allowed to travel again. Love it. Cali. Oh, I miss you, California. Ah, lovely. Hi, Jody. So we've got a parenting coach. I help parents with strong-willed kids get them to understand their feelings. That's got to be tough. Hi, Tiffany, a trauma-informed somatic massage therapist. Love it. Nice. Oh my goodness, this is so cool. Some more Aussies rolling in. I love you guys. I might see you depending on how all this craziness goes next year. Hi, Joe, coaching women leaders and organizations. Love that. Love that. McKenna, Humboldt, working cannabis, working towards a dietetics master's. Awesome. I love it. I've been doing a lot of studying on THC and CBD for endometriosis. Interesting, super fascinating. The endocannabinoid system is different for endometriosis patients. It's like not as functioning. It's very interesting. Anyway. All right. All right. So thank you. Keep those coming in. I'm going to take a look up and check them out from time to time. but I want to just kind of get an idea where everybody is and how you are in your businesses and what spots you're in. So if you don't know me, welcome. And I just wanted to take a brief moment to say, hi, I'm Stasha. I'm the period coach. And I'm just going to take a wee moment to share a little bit about myself in case you don't know me. Some would consider this bragging. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think bragging is good, and I think women should do it more. But why would you be listening to me, right? So I am the founder of the Period Coaching School. I have been working with menstruation and hormonal balance for a number of years now. I have endometriosis. I have been having horrifyingly painful periods since I was a teen. And it took me about 20 years of experimenting on myself, reading everything I could get my hands on, and working just to try and figure out how to relieve my pain, to put it together, figure it out, and actually be in what I call remission. Kind of basically meaning that I know that if I go outside of these boundaries, I will be back on the floor of my bathroom in pain, throwing up, and it's not fun. So I know where my boundaries are. So I could easily get kicked out of that remission if I don't pay attention. So it's something that I really learned in this process of hormonal balance, and how it's a just continuous conversation with yourself, with your body, with your womb, with the hormones, and keeping things kind of fresh and always listening. And it's very much like a relationship where you just don't can't really put it on autopilot for too long, or you start to meander and things start to go wonky. And that's a bit about that hormonal balance that I really had to learn the hard way, because I am a slow learner sometimes when it comes to my own pain management. As a dancer for 20 years, so that's how that goes. But now I've authored The Revolution Will Be Bloody. It was a book that I published via a successful Kickstarter campaign. So the likes of you guys who made that possible. And it's been out in the world now for about 2 years. So it's very exciting. It came out at the beginning of 2020. It started shipping actually. So really exciting. Loving having that out there. Already working on the next one. And I've been a speaker for a few years now. You can see I started doing coaching, hormonal coaching for women in business in Los Angeles. Got to speak in downtown Los Angeles at an event for women entrepreneurs specifically, which was really fun and exciting in 2016. And the event organizers did not think that my speech workshop was going to be quite as attended as it was. And we ended up having so much overflow, and there was no more room to put people, and basically everybody was in with me. So that was really one of those wake-up calls for myself and all of the organizers at just how hungry people are for this information. And from that moment forward, I knew that this was a really big topic that we needed to get into and talk about and focus in on, because people really wanted it. So very excited about that. And since then, I've gotten to speak around the world internationally. My probably biggest claim to fame at this point is speaking in Fiji alongside Elizabeth Gilbert as a keynote speaker. So very exciting, and I love it, and I really enjoy what I do. And I've talked to everybody from people in red tents and yurts, even a red yurt in the middle of the woods of Australia one time, to speaking to hotel management in a major chain to talk about how they're doing employee evaluations. So it's been a really fun and interesting career. And it's something that I'm really encouraging people to do, because you don't realize just how much fun you get to have along the way. It's hard. It's not going to be easy, but nothing is, in this entrepreneurial journey. You got to there's some moments along the way, right? So today we're going to chat about what period coaching is and why you should care about it. We're going to talk about cycles. So we're going to have a class. Get a pen and paper if you don't have one already. We're going to talk about integrating period coaching into your business or some ideas of what it could look like for you if you're going to be starting a business. Of course, I'm going to invite you into this year's enrollment for period coaching school. We'll have a Q&A. I've got some questions that were submitted via email, as well as anything you guys would like to chat about. And then I will be giving away a copy of my book, and I'll even throw in one of my bookmarks and maybe a couple of stickers. I don't know, we'll see. So I hope that sounds good to you guys. Let's dive in. So period coaching is a wide open field. It's huge. And I always knew it was going to be a huge field when I started looking at it, because I realized it's basically health coaching or business coaching or relationship coaching. You know, it's a really big umbrella and it covers so many things. And this is why I say there's infinite niches, because you could be talking about anything that can go wrong with the menstrual cycle. You know, you could be a PMS coach, a PMDD coach, PCOS, endo, infertility, cysts, fibroids, really, you name any of these things. And keep in mind, 90% of menstruators will have a hormonal imbalance. So that's like basically everybody. So there's all of these things, and that's not even talking about just the timeline. So how your hormone shifts as a teen, entering puberty, even having the conversation as kids are just kids, right? As children and getting started. And then teens, and then your 20s where you've got peak hormones, and in your 30s as things start to shift, in your 40s where perimenopause lives, and then your 50s where menopause lives, and then beyond. So there's just so much. And then when you start looking at, okay, well, we also need people who are going to help business owners run their businesses with their cycles, or balance their endometriosis with their business, or their PCOS with their infertility, or their relationships and PMDD. There's just so much. So when you start thinking about all of the different ways that this applies, that's when it really hit me that just how massive this industry is and how it doesn't really exist yet. So it's huge. It's a wide open field. It's basically where the coaching industry was maybe 10, 15 years ago. We are moving into that space of being a really major player in the coaching field. The community aspect of it is amazing. You really start to realize how important that is, especially when you start to look at hormonal imbalances and how community helps bring in balance for the individual and, of course, for the community. So that community aspect is really amazing and really important. Collaboration, and this is kind of on the back end of period coaching, where it really is going to take all of us working together to raise the awareness, to get the word out there, to get people to understand and educated and realizing how much it can help them. And of course, in this industry, rising tide lifts all ships and everybody benefits when we all work together. And it's very fulfilling. I mean, I didn't really expect that when I went into this business that I was going to end up working with people who have PMDD and were having suicidal ideation and saving lives. I didn't think that I was going to end up working with couples whose marriages were just about to end and saving marriages. But those things happened more than once. So, you know, that was a shock. And then when I started working with business owners, seeing profit margins increase, seeing employee retention increase, seeing people not having to work as many hours in their businesses, I didn't see those side effects, so to speak, coming either. So for me, it's been this amazing road of discovery of just how impactful and how important this is for people on every level of their lives. Even things like working out, right? So the American women's soccer team, when they won the World Cup, explained that one of the things they thought really set them apart from the competition was that they had trained with their cycles and played with their cycles. They really understood their menstrual cycles and how it affected them and their physicality. And they thought it really gave them an edge. So it's really quite interesting to see it now reaching the public awareness. You know, we had the Chinese swimmer who said that she just didn't do as well because she'd gotten her period that morning. And that was just, she knows that her times are slower then. So it's been quite interesting seeing these people who have, these very large platforms starting to talk about it. And moving it into more of a mainstream conversation, which is why, again, I know that this is one of those fields that is just exploding. Every year that goes by, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I've had the privilege of watching that happen from nothing existing to all of this really cool stuff. So it's really fulfilling. And if you're anything like me, you want to be having a business that makes you feel good, makes you feel like you're doing something of worth and impact in the world, that makes you feel like you're actually making a difference and helping people. And it would be nice to also make money doing it. And that is a possibility here, right? That's something that can really, truly happen in period coaching. So it's, it's just really exciting to just think how many people could be out there having a career, doing something that they really love, really making a difference and an impact for people, not only on the individual level, but also on the community and global level. So I really love it. And I know that just on a consumer basis, if you're a client, period coaching can make such an enormous impact on your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health. So knowing just how transformational it is as a client as well as a coach is why I'm truly so into this and how much I love it. So yeah, there's a lot of problems with periods. My story of having endometriosis that really just took me out of the world for 2 weeks every month. The fatigue taking me out before I got my period, the cramps coming and making it so that I couldn't even get out of the bathtub. Otherwise, I was just throwing up for days. It wasn't good, and then you have to recover from 3 days of puking and menstruating and laying on the floor of your bathroom, begging for sweet, sweet death. And people expect you to show up and work and look like everything's fine and you're great and it's all fine and dandy. So I truly know what it's like to have period problems, to hate your own body, to hate your own cycle. And I get it. I also know what can happen when we stop trying to shut it down and shut it off and turn around and go, okay, well, how do we do this then? And create harmony and create synchronicity and create that cycle syncing concept and really bring it all together. So the reality is periods are not supposed to hurt. They're not supposed to be symptomatic and terrible. They're not supposed to be these horrifying events that we have to live through, or at best an inconvenience, right? That's the marketing behind a lot of birth control is you can just take all of this forever and you never have to have a period again. That's the selling point. And I get it. Had you caught me 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, when I was still trying to figure this stuff out, I might have signed up myself. But I guess fortunately for me, I was already on a lot of experimental birth control and drugs as a teen trying to fix it. And I was kind of done with all of that by then. So it's not supposed to be like that. The reality is that it's supposed to be a decent event. It's not supposed to be painful. It's not supposed to be horrifying. It really should be, you know, sure, maybe you're feeling a little bit more fatigued. Maybe you need a little bit more downtime. Maybe you're feeling a little more teary or a little more giggly or just a little bit more emotional. Totally fine. But feeling completely out of control, completely collapsed, exhausted, those things aren't supposed to happen. Your blood is supposed to be bright red and beautiful and fresh looking. It's not supposed to be dark, brown, heavy, coming for, days and weeks, flooding or huge clots or fibroids. It's supposed to be something that most of us don't experience. And this is one of the goals of my lifetime, because I know this is going to take longer than my lifetime, but one of my goals for my lifetime is to see this ideal menstrual cycle happening for more people, for it to become universally understood that it's supposed to be like a engaging, transformational, internal, progressive, beautiful experience as opposed to this horrifying shit show that it generally is. And I'd love to see that for everybody. And I will probably spend until my dying day working on that. It takes education, right? It's going to take a lot of us talking about it, educating, sharing, having these conversations. We need to do this not just for the people with periods, but also for our doctors, for our nurses, our partners, our kids, our teachers. Literally, I think everyone on the planet should understand what a menstrual cycle is, how it works, the effects of it on the body, how it can change, and how you can make it easy and enjoyable. And I just think that should be basic knowledge for everybody. I am looking forward to probably well after I'm dead and gone, and maybe a few generations later, for period coaches to not even need to exist anymore because we get it finally. But it, again, not going to happen in my lifetime or anyone that's here. So we've got a ways to go. It's a new field. There's a wealth of opportunity out here in this field. We're creating it. So you and me, the community of us here, we are in that creation space. We are the ones who are creating this field, and it can be anything and everything that we imagine, because we need anything and everything. Everyone needs to hear this information from different perspectives in different ways. You know, maybe somebody starts because they just want their business to run easier, but then they go through it and they realize, oh my goodness, this is actually helping me with my marathon, and start going, oh, I'm going to work with people with cycles who want to achieve marathons, right? So it's, no matter how you start these conversations, you'll see how they ripple out until it's just a huge waterfall, you know, just engulfing everybody. It's kind of fantastic. And that's why we need you. We need coaches to fill the gap. So there's the education gap, right? There's also the gap between doctor and patient, where most doctors just tell patients to take birth control or surgery. And a lot of people are going, you know what? I feel like there's other options out there. I don't want to do that. So we need to be there to fill that gap. I'm not trying to replace doctors. In fact, in the school, we talk about every period problem with the point of, now, what kind of tests can we ask our clients to go ask their doctors about, right? So I look at coaching as a team sport. We're working with our clients and their doctors, and maybe their acupuncturist, and maybe their naturopath, you know, whatever it is that that client feels like they need. I see coaches as part of that team doing the real on the ground work. Coaches are the people who are there. We get to spend an hour with our clients, or 2 hours, or however you want to set it up. We get to see them week after week after week, month after month, cycle after cycle. We get to help them make that lasting mental shift. We get to help them make those changes. That's not something that most people in that doctor medical world can do. So yes, big fan and love the teams, but we're the ones who are going to really get in there to make that change for people and give them that difference. And we are the people, the gap fillers between a taboo of menstruation and the beauty of it. We are the ones that get to fill that gap that is just a black hole, and put beautiful flowers and greenery and foliage in there and make it a beautiful experience for people again. And it used to be, and we can do it again. And this is why we need you to be a part of this. So the current reality is that for anyone who has a period, there's a lot of isolation, there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of misinformation. The idea that PMS and pain is just part of being a woman, or part of the curse, right? These are all phrases I heard anyway as a teen and in my 20s when I was on the floor dying every month. Suck it up. It's just part of being a woman. Go take a Midol. Are you kidding me? I could take an entire bottle of Midol and it wouldn't take a dent. I've taken narcotics and it didn't make a dent in my pain. So it really shouldn't be like that. And the fact that there's that 90% chance of hormonal balance, it's huge. So we really need to get in there. We are at this on this personal level, this one-on-one level. And I think that's ridiculous, frankly. We shouldn't be in that space. But what we end up doing is the wrong things. So we often look at diets, which are usually based off of studies done on men. There's very few that are done on women, cisgendered women, and there's even fewer done on menstruating cisgendered women. So we end up following diet advice that's basically for most studies are done on men in college. So 18, 19, 20-year-old cisgendered boys. And that's not us. So we end up doing the wrong diet. We end up doing self-care that's not really in flow. So we start thinking things like, I'm going to go force myself to do this 10-mile run, even though I'm getting my period tomorrow. And I feel like I just need to lay down and eat something really nourishing. Or working out, time management, scheduling, all of these things we start doing unintentionally and trying to do the right thing, and we end up doing the wrong thing for ourselves, which makes it worse. It makes the hormonal imbalance worse. So yeah, Jody said their hormones aren't even settled into adulthood, let alone nothing to do with gender diverse or cis women. Yeah, exactly. So, when you're looking at studies, you need to go in and look at what they, who they were done on, unless you're looking at a menstruation specific study, obviously. But, if you're looking at a study like, oh, I'm going to try this new diet, let me look at the study, go look at what the sample is based off of before you take that on as your new diet, right? And then of course, on a personal client level for my coaches, we end up giving maybe the right homework at the wrong time in their cycle. You've got to be checking in with clients. It doesn't matter what your coaching is. It can end up being a really negative effect on the clients if it's just at the wrong time for your clients in their cycles. It can just make their imbalance worse. And then everything's harder because you're constantly fighting against your own hormones. You are spending your menstruating life from your teens, theoretically, though some are getting it, 8, 9. But let's say from your teens to the average menopausal age is 50, and fighting against your own body, swimming against the current the entire time. So everything's harder for about half of your life. Let's hope you live a long, healthy life. So probably more than half your life, but I don't want to see any more people struggling needlessly just because society is not set up for us. So yeah. So then we look at the community level where our family loses out because we don't know what's going on in our bodies. We can't make the adjustments or the things that we need for ourselves to happen. Our family loses out. They just don't have the loved one, the mom or the sister or the daughter or the whatever, that understands what's even going on for herself, let alone being able to communicate that within her family. Businesses lose out because we, again, aren't functioning with our cycles. We're working against it. Our business, our employers, whatever, doesn't matter, but our businesses lose out. And for us business owners, that means we lose out on income. That means we burn out more. We all lose out, right? The whole community loses out. We're burnt out. We're fighting each other. We're fighting our bodies. We're trying to prove that we can be small men. That's just a thing I would like us to stop. So the community loses out. And then when we look at it globally, it's just a huge issue from the marketing. I mean, just look at the marketing around menstruation. So that in and of itself, right? We've just started to get red liquid approved, not even like thicker red liquid, right? Just red liquid. And it's tough to see, the absorbency of a pair of period underwear when you're looking at red tinted water versus what's thicker, more blood-like, because we can't even do that. So it's just crazy. Climate change, we all kind of need to be aware of climate change at this point, right? And the number 2 disposed of product is the menstrual products, right behind diapers. So we really do need to be able to have this conversation and get rid of this taboo because it is affecting climate change. We are unequal and unable to escape. We feel trapped. We feel bound. We feel unable to fully connect or express. And we don't even know how, because again, we don't have the vocabulary for our own bodies and our own systems. There are very few medical studies. I will say that this has been improving, but it's certainly nowhere near what it should be. We are vulnerable. Again, we don't know. We don't have the capacity to talk about it. Enslaved. And I know murdered and enslaved sounds dramatic, but I want you to understand that in this day and age, in every country, there are girls who are vulnerable because of their cycles. They are abducted because now somebody knows that they're menstruating. They can be abducted, sold into sex slavery. It's not a joke. It's not to be made light of. It happens in our own backyards. When I was writing the book and I was talking about this, I was looking into the numbers, and it's terrifying and heartbreaking. And of course, being forced to birth because we, again, don't understand our own fertility and we can't really do much about it. So there's a lot of trauma that goes along with this. There's a lot of problems that go along with this. They're a lot more dramatic than we think in our far more privileged bubbles. And it's something that we truly do need to address for so many reasons. So let's get through this taboo. Let's make this world better. Let's process this trauma, deal with this trauma. We do this every day, every bleed, over and over and over again. You spend about 7 years of your life bleeding, just bleeding. So if we just say like, okay, that's 10 years, that's, if we make it to the age 80, an eighth of your lifetime is literally just menstruating time. So why are we spending all of that time shamed, embarrassed, hating ourselves, hating our bodies? It's never going to work. We can never move forward from this place. So I'm here to tell you, if you have a sneaking suspicion somewhere, even if it's deep, deep, deep down inside, cycles are not supposed to be like this. It's not supposed to be this horror show. It's not supposed to be bad. It's not supposed to be repressed. You're right. I am validating that little voice in your head, because that's the little voice that went through my head in high school that said, no, this is not right. And I refuse to accept it's just part of being a woman. No, I don't accept that. And if you have that little voice in your head, it's right. If you feel like you've been lied to, you're right. To be fair, most of the time it's just pure ignorance, but you're right. And if all of this sounds crazy, if it sounds like, oh my God, this is too much, I don't want anything to do with this, this is freaking me out, stay. You're here for a reason. Stick with this. Take a minute and just think about why you might feel resistance in this conversation. And think about the things that were said to you as a teen or as a child around menstruation. Think about the things you've seen on TV. So I have a vision for the future, and I've shared a little bit with you, but I want to take it again on that personal level, having independence, having control of your fertility. Nothing can I don't know. There's not a whole lot that make you feel more empowered than going, you know what? I'm fertile for 6 days out of the month. I know my fertility. I know how I'm going to feel tomorrow. I know what's coming next week. I know what cravings I'm going to have. I know what work I'm going to do. I know how I'm going to interact with my family. I know that next week's going to be family, watch a movie and eat popcorn night. And 2 weeks from now is going to be, let's go on a white rafting adventure, because I'm going to be in a good place for my cycle for that. Having that independence, having that confidence, having that freedom to be so understanding of your own body, your own cycles, it brings a level of happiness and wellness that we can't even imagine, because this is a whole conversation that most people have never had before. It makes decision-making easier and quicker. And I don't know about you, but by the end of the night, I am so tired of making decisions. Like when a family member turns to me and goes, "What's for dinner?" I just want to be like, I don't care. I'm tired of making decisions. I literally just want somebody else to make one decision for me right now, right? So knowing your cycle, knowing what's happening in your body, how it's affecting you and where it's taking you makes decision-making easier. Oh my God. Imagine just taking like 50% of your decisions in a day off your shoulders because you just know how you're going to feel and what you're going to say yes to and what you're going to say no to. Oh my God. Now I get to dinner and I'm stoked to think about it. Community level, families can have that vocabulary. They can have that understanding, hey, mom is about 3 days away from her period. We're going to watch movies. We're going to have popcorn. If you want to order pizza, let's get it done, right? You can have those moments and it's okay. You can have the conversations. You can have that vocabulary. And I know there's people here right now that have those conversations in their homes with their kids and can have those conversations, and they have a better family life because everyone understands, right? Businesses make more money. You don't have to work as much. So that means you can go have a life, spend more time with your family, spend more time without your family, whatever makes you happy. I'm not judging. But you can make more money in less time because you're more productive, because you're in flow, because you're more confident. All of that stuff increases your bottom line. And we haven't even talked about adding period coaching as a service for your business because hello, the bio-individuality of that is VIP, right? We fully embrace our bleeding bodies. We empathize and respect each other. That's going to happen when we can start having these conversations with each other and understand what's going on and what's happening and have empathy for each other. And on a global level, more safety. Again, periods make girls vulnerable worldwide, and being able to have a safety with this would make an enormous difference, which means more kids would get educations, which means we have more brilliant little girls out there doing brilliant things, getting the educations that they need, which means we might be able to turn this whole ship around. So we need these girls out there getting educations and feeling safe and feeling confident, and it will make a difference. We need to move to reusables. It's a passion project of mine. It's not the focus of my business, but we do have a green menstruation class in the period coaching school because I insist on it. Menstruation is an asset. It's not an inconvenience. It's not something to rail against. It's an asset. Informed medicine, understanding where somebody is in their cycle, right? Even my acupuncturist and I start every session with where am I in my cycle? And we adjust what we're going to do depending on where I am in my cycle. And that's not even like talking about doctors and nurses and that kind of thing. And that free, educated, empowered feeling. Oh my God. I wish I could just bottle that up, but unfortunately we need the education portion and that takes time. So here's what this is what period coaching looks like. No matter your niche, you're going to use these 5 skills. So you're going to need support, having the education, getting the education, having a safe space to ask questions, getting help as you learn for yourself, for your business, for your clients, right? So having that support. And it's a learning process. To this day, sometimes people come to me with period problems and I go, you know what? That's an excellent question. I haven't seen that before. Let me do some research and get back to you. And this is when I turn to my team, my menstruati. Yes, that is what we call ourselves. And that is how they are in my phone. I reach out to my menstruati and go, has anyone encountered this? In fact, one of the menstruati texted me the other day and went, I think that you have seen this before. Tell me what you did, right? So you have that support where you can have those conversations. Your business will flow because period coaching is a balance of hormones and business. And as you balance your business, your hormones will automatically balance. As you balance your hormones, your business will start to balance. It's just a beautiful symbiotic process. But you can't have a business and burn out. I've done that. I know a lot of you probably have as well. And I just am done. No more burnout for us. We're going to have our business with flow. Community, again, rising tide lifts all ships. It's just the better the community, the more we can have conversations. I have a rule in period coaching school that you assume every single post is said with love. Every single comment is said with love. You assume that position before you react, because sometimes we are in our deep luteal phase and we feel a little testy and we get a little meh. Take a breath. Everything comes from love. I ask everyone to post from love, which means you can safely assume everyone's comments are from love, right? So when you have a really good community, you have a really great place, it's so much easier. Plus, then you can do things like affiliate and partner and create group programs together and just take the weight off your shoulders. I did a summit, my third summit, with a friend, Katie Bresak, who is also a hormonal balance coach, because I had done 2 summits by myself and it was hard and I was running out of time because then I didn't have quite such a busy business, but I did in this 3rd year. So I said to Katie, let's just do it together. Let's just do a summit together. It's easier together. So we did, and it was. Lifestyle. All right. So if you're any kind of coach, lifestyle is important. You have to change that mentality of how we approach the day, how we approach ourselves, how we live our lives. The more in flow it is, well, the more in flow it is. So we know we need that lifestyle element here. And of course, we got to learn the menstrual cycle and what's really going on. So that's what we're going to start with today. Cycle at a glance. All right, so let's take the basics of a menstrual cycle, and you will see PMS is not on here because it's not a phase of your cycle. It's a hormonal imbalance. You're always in a phase of your cycle. You'll also notice on here, there's no skip phase or neutral phase. There is no neutral with your hormones. You're always in a phase of your menstrual cycle. Menstruation, the actual bleeding, it might be the closest to a hormonal neutral that you can get to because most of your hormones are just kind of flatlined at that place, but you're bleeding. And that in and of itself has its own set of mindset and self-care that you're working with, right? So you're either working with your cycle or you're working against your cycle. There is no neutral. So let me ask you guys a question. Do you recognize these phases? Do you recognize them in yourself? So menstrual, your winter phase, your internal phase, your introverted phase, when your baseline hormones are kind of at this level, right? Follicular, when your hormones start to rise, it's more of a springtime energy, starting to feel a bit more extroverted, a little bit more interactive with the outside world, a little bit higher energy. Ovulation, our summer, our peak, our hormones peak, our estrogen, our testosterone peak here. They're not going to be higher again at any point in our cycle than here, or they shouldn't be anyway. Again, short phase, right? You see it's 3 days because our egg only lasts for 24 hours. So we have about 3 days of this peak feeling. And I'll remind you that if we were in summer all of the time, we would all be in a desert. So we need to come out of summer into that late summer, autumn, and winter. So we go into that luteal phase. We have that, this is where kind of accordions, you could go 7 days, 14 days, kind of accordions here. But, your estrogen comes down a little bit, your testosterone comes down after ovulation, but your estrogen rises a little bit again in this luteal phase. So you get a little second wind of energy. And then that deep luteal phase, feeling as the hormones are starting to come down. It will eventually trigger your menstruation. It's about 4 days. If you have PMS symptoms, this is where you're going to see them. So sore boobs, bloating, fatigue, brain fog, acne. There's over 100 symptoms that go along with PMS. So all of those things, digestive issues, that's one that doesn't get talked about because that's like kind of 2 taboos in one. But a lot of people find that they have digestive issues. So it is definitely one of those things. So Jody says she's recognizing them thanks to me. Yes, absolutely. And I'm happy to see you here, Jody. Yes, so I'm getting some yeses, just coming into my second wind after 3 days of napping. It's a good place to be. Absolutely. Yeah. So when you're working with your clients, can you see how maybe giving someone like a seated meditation and ovulation could be tough? Their testosterone is at their peak. They want to go out and run around and do crazy stuff. And you're asking them to sit still and silently. And then you wonder why they come back and say they failed. Or let's say giving somebody a cleanse in deep luteal when they're in that PMS, right? Because most people have a hormonal imbalance and most people show up in PMS. And now we're going to give somebody a cleanse or have them trying to convince them that their cravings aren't real, right? So you're adding stress and you're taking them out of where they are. So it's tough and it's such a mismatch, and it causes stress hormones. Stress hormones mean that our body takes away from our reproductive hormones to make stress hormones. We go into a lot more detail in this at school, and I unfortunately don't have a lot of time to get into it, but the gist of it is the higher the stress, the worse our hormonal balance for our reproductive hormones are. So when we're giving our clients these mismatched things, we're increasing their stress levels, we're increasing their failure rate, we're making them feel like they can't achieve or anything, and now we set them back. Same for ourselves too. We do the same thing to ourselves. We come out of ovulation, we get through luteal, and then we start feeling like our whole business is a fail and what's wrong with us, and we just scrap it all or rebrand or re-niche or whatever. So that happens, right? I'm seeing a lot of luteal coming up in here, which I kind of love because it was the new moon. We're like deep in that new moon energy, which is totally that menstrual phase. So that luteal, deep luteal phase going right around the new moon is so perfect. Totally. I saw Roxanne, day 26, nappy face. Yeah, totally. I just finished up. I was just a few days before the new moon, this cycle myself. So it happens. We see that new moon around that menstrual cycle time. So how do you use this information, right? How do you use this information? Ask yourself, what would Hermione do? WWHD. What, why, how, and do. So just think about approaching your cycle from this perspective. In your luteal and deep luteal phases, you're going to ask yourself what questions: what's working, what's not working, what could be better, what could be improved, why is it not working? When you get to menstrual, why is it not working? Why is it working? Why should it be better? Why do I want this? Why, right? Ask those big vision questions, because menstruation is the perfect time for big vision questions. How? So we move into follicular. How are you going to do things? How are you going to get it done? What's the strategy? What's the detail? What's the system? And then ovulation, go do it. Do the speaking gig, do the interview, do the recording, do the video, do. So get out of the thinking and into the doing in ovulation. And if you do this every month, you're going to solve problems every month. You're going to improve systems every month. You're going to make your business run better every month. You're going to make your relationships work better every month. It's going to be a continuous improvement until one day you get to that luteal phase and you're like, all right, this is kind of cool. I could jam out here. I told my boyfriend, even me, the girl who still has rough periods, especially time to time, it'll creep up. So I still have a little PTSD. I am working with a coach myself for that. But even I get into mid luteal and I go, I'm looking forward to being in deep luteal where I can just like binge watch a show for a day and just kind of relax, because I know my brain's not going to be functioning. And if I go work in my business, I'll break something. So I'm kind of looking forward to just being able to kick back and relax. And you get into that deep luteal and it's like, oh boy, I can just kick back and relax because you planned for it. You put it together properly. You have the time and the space. You can enjoy yourself, kick back, relax. It's amazing. And when you do this, you see so many things get resolved month after month, time after time. Sometimes it takes a few cycles to figure something out, but in the end, you always do. Meredith said, why am I so pissed about this? Yeah, that's a great menstrual question, right? When you're in deep luteal, especially that end of that luteal phase, and you are angry at all of these weird things. I teach, it's actually in the Revolution, the book, and we talk about it in the school as well. The dirty socks principle, what pisses you off? My partner not getting their dirty socks into the dirty clothes hamper. Like, that's just not my job. But yes, I would like to murder them with a spoon. Why? In menstruation. Well, because I'm not their maid, I'm not their mom. Even if laundry is my job, it's not my job to get it into the bin. How? How are you going to fix this problem? How are you going to find a solution that works for everybody? How will your partner hear you best, right? Ovulation, go do it. Have that conversation, have that discussion, create that system, whatever it is. So you can really do this, and you can do this for everything over and over and over again.
Hey, Sasha, we have a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Joe asked, how do you work with clients whose cycle is erratic and unpredictable?
Part one is start getting their cycle to be less erratic and unpredictable, which is a process of getting their hormones back in balance, getting them back in balance. One of my favorite things to do that has zero side effects, and I've seen work time and time again, is having my clients with erratic periods sleep with the moon. And what that means is sleeping in a pitch dark. So if you need to get a mask or blackout curtains or whatever, but you sleep in pitch darkness, except for around the full moon. So maybe 3 to 5 days, depending on how you want to do this, but you increase that light in your room at night to go along with the full moon until you've got like a nice light. I travel a lot, so I usually travel with like a little electric tea light that I can use. And when I'm traveling by car, I actually have a moon that glows, and I put it in the bedroom with me, and I'll increase the intensity of the moon so that it kind of goes up higher until we hit the full moon. And then I'll decrease it for a couple of days after that. It helps bring regularity in, and there's no study, so I don't know why. There's a guess that it affects the pineal gland. The pineal gland is what helps to tell our ovaries what hormones to make when. So it can help. Eating in flow, which might mean while they're trying to get this erratic, unpredictable cycle back into some semblance of normalcy, they might have to make some shifts and some changes. But it's usually very easy because pretty much everybody has inflow foods in their house all of the time. They're just kind of eating them out of order. So it can help really support that. And then pulling out the extra hormones, making sure you're getting rid of it. So lots of really good high fiber foods. When it's approaching menopause, it's a different set of circumstances, and it can help. It can help make it a little bit easier, but perimenopause and menopause can move that differently. And the women that I've worked with, when we've had students in the school, I've had clients that have been perimenopause, and we start to shift things around so that we're working kind of with the moon and bringing in with them. So it's a little bit of a process. And it really kind of comes down to the client and what's going on with them. So it'd be a little bit more complicated. I mean, this could be more complicated, but this is a really good place to start for clients. I have a street light across the room from my bedroom. If I open the curtains in the full moon, I get a lot of full moon light, but also the street light. Is it worth sleeping with the curtains open with the street light there? Yeah, when I'm in cities, I kind of just let the street lights be my moon. So, because it's just light at the end of the day. So street lights, moonlight, tea lights, pink salt lights, Himalayan pink salt lamp. I have one of those in storage if I ever get at home again. That's my favorite thing in my bedroom. It's really just a bit of light. So not so much that you can't sleep. You don't want your like overhead lights on, but a bit of light just to help engage that pineal gland there. Good questions, guys. Okay, so integrating period coaching. So, all right, obviously we can't get into all of this today, but you guys can get started now. So if you have clients or you want to start seeing clients, you want to incorporate this stuff, start with your intake form, your assessment, your health history, whatever it is you call it in your business. Put the question, do you menstruate on there? If so, is it regular? Do you have any symptoms? Right? So it could just be those 3 questions. It could be, very simple and very easy. It doesn't have to be a big dramatic thing. If you're doing hormonal balance coaching, you're going to need to ask a lot more questions. But for anybody, just do you have a cycle? Is it regular? Do you have symptoms? Can be right there, red flags, right? So when you see that and you see things like, oh no, I just get a little insomnia, or I don't have a ton of symptoms, but, right? So you see those kind of red flags come up, ask about that. So ask more questions. If they have symptoms, it's or out of whack cycles, those are red flags for hormonal imbalance. So it means that there's something that needs to be worked on. It needs to be turned around, brought into flow, to sync. And that syncing what you're doing with your clients, how you approach your sessions even, right? I know when I have a client and they are in follicular, I'm like, let's talk about those business foundations. Let's look at those spreadsheets. Let's talk numbers. Let's get into the details. Have you set up that email system yet? Like bam, 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 bam. But I know when I have a client who's in deep luteal, oh my God, can you imagine how overwhelming that would be? We're not going to do that. So how do you feel about where you are right now? What is working for you right now? What is, so it's really about bringing them back. And when I have a client who's hit that luteal phase, I always make sure to tell them just how far they've come and reframe their perspective, because when you're in luteal, your testosterone wanes, your confidence goes down with your testosterone. This is why dudes walk around and think they are so amazing all of the time, because they have high testosterone, and testosterone increases confidence. So you have that increased confidence, but then it starts to wane in the luteal phase. We don't know that, so we feel like we're failures. So when I have a client in that luteal phase, I'm always making sure that we take a moment of perspective. Just think about where you were a year ago or 2 years ago. Look where you are now. Look at how things have shifted. You've done work, you've made progress, right? So being able to create that kind of soothing, safe environment for your clients is going to help their hormones. It's going to reduce their stress levels, their anxiety. It's going to help regulate their hormones, and they're going to start to feel better. And their hormones are going to start to get better. So it makes a huge difference no matter where you are and what kind of coaching you do. The rest of this is where we really are into the school stuff. And it's far, this is why we have the school for 9 months. So it's not something I can get into now, but it is the process that we work through. So just as an example, when you are working for yourself and your clients, you're going to want to start at the base of the pyramid. So I have my Flow Freedom program. This is where everyone in the school starts. We do Flow Freedom, where you go through my sensual system and you spend your time, whether it's the moon cycle or the menstrual cycle, depending on if you have a cycle or not, just living with those cycles, eating, tasting, smelling, moving, touching, listening, seeing, spirit, meditation, journaling, whatever it is that makes you feel engaged and you enjoy. We just start that process. And this is also the same things that you're going to approach your clients with. And I use this example, many menstruators grow up as women, or they grow up as girls for a lot of it. And that's starting to change now. So there's more gender fluidity. But for a lot of our clients, they grew up being assigned girl, and therefore getting all of the messaging around food and diet and weight, and starting with food, which is what most of us are inclined to do because it makes such a good impact, can be really traumatizing for somebody who's ever had disordered eating. And that's a lot of our clients. So being able to start working with them and start working with their sense of smell or their movement or their self-care practices or journaling, these kinds of things can start to bring their hormones back into balance without triggering them, which means that they can actually see some progress and make some forward ground and really feel better. And then you can start to broach things like, okay, now we do need to start incorporating some more healthy foods, or, now it's time to start reducing the sugar or the caffeine or whatever it is. So we start there, you start there, our client starts there, everyone starts there. Of course, we talk about business, right? So start to think about your business. How could your business be more in flow? What could you be doing? Put your cycle and every phase on your calendar. You might be just guessing, but put it on your calendar and it will, right? So you can start to see, so you can start to schedule things with that. And then period school, we'll really get into what the different problems are, the different parts of our lifetimes, the changes, those kinds of things. So you really need to start building that period so you can, or that pyramid for your period. So this is the part where I'm going to start telling you a bit more about period coaching school. So these are the things that you really need to master to do period coaching or to integrate it into your already existing coaching business. So if you want to help women, support menstruators, you're going to need to do these things. You're going to need to learn. So that's what the book is there for. We need to learn cycles. We need to learn the problems. We need to learn all of the ins and outs of it. And a lot of it you will learn as you work with clients, but you really need to have that space. The waves are that feminine approach. It's the community. It's the working together. It's that ripple that turns into a waterfall. It's those bringing it together in that feminine flow. We've got the sword there, not just because I love sword, but also because it's a representative of the masculine. And we need to advocate. We need to make change. We need to be out there and use that masculine to our advantage. It's in our cycles. We have the feminine in menstruation and new moon in winter. We have the masculine in ovulation in full moon and summer, right? So we need that as well for balance. And then, of course, recognizing that our blood is gold and knowing that it's the vital sign of our wealth and our health and our vitality, and knowing that your cycle tells you every month how you're doing, and that your client cycles tell you every month how your clients are doing. And it's not a bad thing. It's a wealth of information. So in period coaching school, we start out with charting, where you learn the lingo, you learn the tools, you start charting, you start these things, even as in postmenopause. So last year we had a couple students in postmenopause that did the charting and were blown away by how much they learned just charting with the moon about their own cycles and their own energy on that monthly basis, because we're blowing up the 24-hour androgen cycle that we have based our society on, men's 24-hour hormonal cycle, and we're expanding it into a 28-day, 29-day on average. You know, it's not perfection. There's no perfection in cycles, but we're expanding it out to that month, that cycle perspective. And then we've got our self, right? So we start using ourselves, we start trying things for ourselves, we start syncing our own lives with our flow, our business, where we can start working with our business, start working with our clients. And of course, our clients will take this out into the world. We'll start making that bigger change. And this is why I say we can start with this one little ripple of just working with ourselves, and it will lead into a huge, beautiful waterfall that we can all jam and have a party around. So period coaching school is for you if you have a business that serves menstruating clients, or you want to. If you want to have a business with menstruators as your ideal clients, so you don't have to be in business yet, you can just want to. It doesn't matter what the coaching business is. If you're working with this niche or this ideal client, then this is for you. If you want your business to be holistic, periods are a vital sign of health. Knowing that and knowing that it's going to impact your clients and that you're going to impact your clients, that's for you. If you want more time, we're going to learn to be more productive. We're going to learn how to do these things. We're going to learn how to work in flow. You're going to learn how to do a lot in flow. You're going to spend a lot less time indecisive, canceling plans, rearranging things, stressed out, exhausted, staring at a blank screen going, oh, why am I here? What am I doing? You'll know. If you want the world to be a better place, at the end of the day, if we still have this taboo around menstruation, if we're still afraid to talk about it, if we're still afraid to incorporate it, we will never have equality. We will never have a better planet. And if you want to make money doing it, you're going to be able to make more money integrating this. So if you already have a practice and now you can say, oh, and by the way, I coach on a bio-individual basis, working with your particular cycle to bring more balance and harmony into your hormones and your business, your relationship, your workout, your whatever it is. Then, yeah, you're going to be able to increase that VIP package price. You're going to be able to do group coaching and have a different perspective. You're going to be a very unique person in your field because no one's doing this stuff yet, right? So you're going to be a unique tall poppy in a field, and it's going to make a difference. This is not for you if you're looking for a pill to pop. I'm I recognize that supplements can come in handy, and I do use them from time to time for clients, but we're not going to just supplement and band-aid our way forward, right? So if you're looking for like a pill to pop or a particular, supplement that you're going to give your client so that they don't have to make any changes in their lifestyle, their eating, their self-care, whatever it is, this is not going to be for you. If you don't engage, this is a community. Again, the community aspect is part of it. I am an introvert. I am in the 90th percentile of introversion. So when I say engage, I mean engage from a place that you feel comfortable with and that you enjoy, but engage, right? It's a community sport here. If you have no chill, we're human. It's me and Carrie. We are a very small team of humans. We may make mistakes. We may have to change things. We may get something out in the wrong time zone. An email may misfire. Something may go wrong. And I don't really need people yelling at me for a mistake. So if you have no chill, just move on. I said this last year that I was creating all this content and I said, maybe things won't come out on time. And at the end of it, one of the girls goes, I was really expecting there to be like mistakes and delayed stuff because you were so clear about it in the webinar. And then everything came out seamlessly and perfect. And I was like, well, yeah, because, only people who are chill are in here. And therefore we weren't freaking out and having to deal with people, emailing us because something was 3 minutes late. So be chill. And if you don't like flow puns, this is not going to work out well for you because there are a lot of bloody puns in our school. And I encourage them. So if you don't like puns that deal, if you don't like puns at all, this is not going to work out well for you. I just feel like that you need to know that. So incorporating business coaching brings profit. It brings productivity, it brings ease. And like I said at the beginning, I didn't realize that these powerful changes would happen in the lives of the people I was working with. And from the life in flow, I didn't realize the impact on our relationships, our businesses, until I saw it in my clients. Like I knew it worked for me. I knew it improved my period. It got me up out of the bathroom, frankly. It got me feeling better. It got me working a business with a full-time income in not full-time hours, believe me. I still don't work for about a week out of the month every month because that's what I need to not have a painful period. So, I knew it worked for me. I knew it worked for my relationships. I knew it made it so much easier to exist with my friends and my loved ones and my family. I knew that, but I didn't realize that it's not just me, that it was everyone I worked with. It was incredible. Amy just said it's made such a difference to every area of my life. Yeah. I was blown away. So, productivity, if you don't want to sit down at a screen, staring blankly at it, going, God, I have to write this email and I don't know what to say, or I have all these things to do and I'm exhausted and I can't do any of it. And I plan this poorly, or I have a full client day and I just got my period and I hate this. Like you never have to do that again. You can boost your productivity and get more done and basically accomplish a full-time job in less time with flow. And I'm never going to work full-time. I'm never going to put in a 40-hour work week. Even at the peak, I don't work a 40-hour work week. So that's just, nah, don't do it. I don't recommend it. Ease. It's good. It's just going to be easier. Your hormones are going to hormone. And you're either working with them or you're working against them. And believe me, working with them is easier than against. And you know this. You've been there. You've been there. You've had that moment where you had a really inflow day and everything was working and you nailed those interviews and those clients were amazing and you knocked out an entire email sequence and you wrote it and you only had to do a tiny bit of editing because it was just genius, right? Like you've had those days. Those are your inflow days. You were doing the right tasks for your hormones. And then here we go, right? So you know that it's there, it's possible, and you can have it on tap every day like that. And of course, more profit. You have that VIP skill that very few coaches have. You could be in an industry that has very few coaches in it at all. You could create a VIP bio individual package, right? For your business. No matter how you decide to incorporate period coaching into your business, You can charge more because it's a premium service, or you can do something low cost so that you can work with a lot of people who don't have a ton of money, right? So like you can work your business in a way that feels really good for you and really ethical for you and makes you really happy, and you can make more money doing it. So yeah, bring it all together, babe. All right. Let's see. I saw a bunch of stuff coming in this chat box. Katie just said, so true. Everything in my life is easier thanks to the work I've already done with you. Everything in all caps. Thanks, Jody. Working with Sasha with my flow helped me feel 99% less overwhelmed in my business. I'll take that as a good statistic, especially the day-to-day tasks. Working with flow made it in business. It made it simpler, and I'm still in business thanks to Sasha. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, who would have guessed? But here we are. And when I have to do a task that's not right for my cycle where I am, and I'm kind to myself, I make plans to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And then it's still easier. Yeah, right? I know. And that's the thing, like things are going to happen, right? Like you may have to do a 3-day event on the day before your period, the day of your period, and in the day after your period where you're speaking on stage for 3 days in a row. That was me. And I knew what I needed. I spent the 2 months before that making sure that I was super careful and kind to my body. We got to the event. I told everyone on that team what was happening and what I needed and how they could be helpful. I brought the supplies that I needed. And I had a beautiful gay man who was one of our fellow coaches who literally said, I will deal, I'm on chocolate duty. And he would bring me in a piece of chocolate between every coaching session, or if I was coming down off the stage. Beautiful, beautiful Meredith, who was my roommate, who made sure my hot water bottle was full and hot that whole weekend. I stuffed sweatpants up my skirt so I could pull them down in between sessions. Like it was a team event, right? So we can do it even if you don't know, even if something happens where you're like, oh boy, this is not how I wanted this to work out, but you can prepare yourself and it will be easier. So what's included in the school? We've got Flow Freedom, right? Which we talked about, your business, your flow, where we're going to work on your business basics. We'll talk about things like your business foundations. We've got some business guest teachers. So we've got some of that good business juju coming in, and of course, all of it in flow. There's a one-on-one with me included this year if you join by August 13th. That does have a deadline on it, but you will get a one-on-one with me. You can use it at any point in the school. So, if you want to save it to later, you're welcome to. If you want to knock it out right at the beginning, you absolutely can. We'll have masterminds and co-working every month. We have a global community already. So I have some early adopters this year, and they are already all over the world. So we've got people from the States, we've got people from Mexico, Canada, the UK, Malaysia, Australia, China. So we're going to have masterminds and co-working sessions that will be in a time zone that everyone is awake for at some point. So you never have to worry about not being able to attend one of the calls because you're asleep. You will be asleep for some of them and you will be awake for some of them. Unless you're in my time zone where I am. And if I'm traveling, that might shift. So, but there will always be something where you can come and be there, and we'll work together. We'll have those masterminds. We also have alumni who are coming again this year who have already started doing some co-working sessions in the school group. So there may even be more because you guys are allowed to, get together and do stuff as well. Your certification. So, you'll get your certification at the end. If you meet the requirements, of course, and you don't have to get a certification at the end either. I know that there will people in here that just want to do it for themselves or for their kids or something. So, but you will get it if you want. Ethics and values. I believe in a transparent business. You'll see in my pricing down here that you aren't getting penalized for being on a payment plan, because I just don't believe being poor should be a barrier to join things. So I'm not rewarding people who just happen to have the money in their savings account and penalizing the people that don't. I believe that it's a value of mine. You'll see that I have a scholarship in there as well. And that's because I truly believe that we need more Black, Indigenous women of color doing this work. So I have a scholarship for that. There's guest teachers. I am not an expert at every single aspect of menstruation ever, but I know the people who are. So we have lots of guest teachers who come in, and they will come in. Some of them are pre-recorded from previous years. Some of them will be live. You as a student will always have access to the most updated membership. So even if you're, if you were a student last year, you'll see this year's new teachers because you'll always have access to the most updated membership. So again, because I believe if you're going to go out there and be a period coach, you need to have resources. And this is your first place for resources. I'd like it to be your first place for resources. So you could come in and go, okay, I've got a client who I really think has cysts or fibroids. I'm going to go watch that cysts fibroids video and I'm going to see if this applies. I'll work that with my client and maybe I'll follow up with that guest teacher, right? So I believe that we need this access and this information. And if somebody's going out there into the world of one of my period coaching certifications, I want them to be always feeling confident in their knowledge and being able to come back and check, look into things, find those kinds of things. And speaking and teaching opportunities. So of course, I'm going to go to my students first. So when I need speakers for a summit, when I eventually get that podcast out there, not that I want to add that to my to-do list right now, but one day, when I need teachers, right? So next year, we have some graduates who are going to be doing teaching as guest teachers in the school. So there's opportunities within the school. And of course, I'm going to go. And then on top of that, when you get your certification, you get listed on our website under the Find a Coach section. This school is going to be the place where everyone comes when they realize they need a period coach. They're going to Google period coaching and they're going to find periodcoachingschool.com and they're going to go, oh, find a coach. And they're going to click that and they're going to see your beautiful face doing the thing that they need. And they're going to go, I'm going to hire that coach, right? So it's ideally, we'll have this great network, this great hub. You can work with each other, refer to each other, help each other. So the more we get in, the more community that's here, the better it'll get, and it'll just grow over the years. So we'll have this really fantastic resources for you. So you can head to periodcoachingschool.com, become a certified period coach. You can just go to periodcoachingschool.com, become a certified period coaches in the menu. You can just click it. And you can check out the information page. There's lots of information on there. If something I didn't answer or a question that you have, you're also welcome to ask here. And this is the cost for this year. And I want to reiterate to my friends in countries where the currency isn't holding up to the dollar right now, email me. We'll talk about it. I have a longer payment plan for those of you who are having, just getting kicked in the teeth with that old conversion rate. And if you're using this, you're likely to increase your income, right? So J. Chris Crow did quarterly planning in Flow with me. And at the end of the year, she did that for one quarter where she did it, she stuck to it, she worked with it. And then at the end of the year, her accountant came back and said, Jay, what did you do this quarter differently? And she was like, well, that's the quarter that I planned with Sasha and Flo. And her accountant went, well, I'm going to need you to go back and do that again because it was such a profitable quarter that I'm sitting here asking you what you did differently because I want you to do more of that, right? So it's happened. It will happen again. And I'd like it to happen for you. I truly, truly believe the more money in the hands of women and menstruators, the better the world will be. So I'd like to see you making more money. That's why we have this community. That's why you can come and ask questions and get help and support so that you can go do that. Again, there's that limited bonus. If you want the one-on-one call with me, get yourself signed up for that private coaching session or get yourself signed up for the school so you can get that private coaching session. It does have a firm deadline of August 13th. So what you can do is you can jump in, and even if you have questions or something, you can also, there's on that page, the Become a Certified Period Coach page, there is a button you can click if you'd like to set up a call with me. If you have questions, you want to, one-on-one chat out, but you're also welcome to ask them here. But you do need to have made that first payment if you're doing payment plan by the 13th in order to get that one-on-one with me. And we have a scholarship left. I have limited positions, and I've done this for years where basically I just expand out the amount of scholarships that I offer. And this year they have been going like hotcakes. So there's one scholarship spot left. Sorry. I thought I didn't think they'd all be gone by now. And there are some people emailing me about that. So if you want to email me immediately, because like I said, there's one spot left. If you don't need it, please don't take it so that somebody who does need it can. But again, if you are having, if you're in those areas where money is an issue, just email me. I don't want it to be a barrier. I want it to be something that, we can actually move forward together. So just email me and ask. So I've got a short video here of the graduates talking about their experience in the school, and I'm going to give it a little play right now, and hopefully it'll work.
It just bloomed inside me my whole life, and I had no idea what meant what this and that. I know what PMDD is, or I know what endo is, but to actually get it firsthand from people that are going through it and having that person in front of you and explain the symptoms, it's a lot different than learning from a textbook. So much more confident talking to my daughter, and for the first time I had this very involved conversation with one of my very close friends, but also two of my friends who I've been friends for like over 20 years. And so it's just starting the conversations anew. For my daughter, like a lot of my insights have been for her. I can really change those. It was a space of such trauma and such grief for me. To be able to flip that and now have a respect for my womb space like I have never felt for any other part of my body is just incredible. Yeah, driven home over and over that that I can accept exactly where my body is and embrace that I'm a cyclical person. And, there's rhythms to my body, rhythms to nature. So that was really something that feels really, really good to have stepped into and embodied. Like, where are all the other places in my life I'm closing myself off to possibilities because I think, oh, that's not possible, so I don't even try. And it expanded my view and helped me want to let go of limiting beliefs because I felt if this thing that I thought was impossible is not only possible, but beyond my wildest expectations, where are all the other places in my life where I thought that and felt that? That's an example of how powerful period coaching can be. Love Stasha's work, and I wanted to be here and be one of the first to experience it and grow it. What I've loved the most is just how much knowledge I've amassed. There's just so much information, and a lot of it I now take for granted. And so just remembering that the rest of the world doesn't know this.
All right. So again, that link, if you would like to jump in with us for this year. I remember when the school was just an idea. I know, it seems so long ago now. And here we are with actual students who graduated. So I'd love to see you inside. If you are the least bit interested in this, jump in. It's going to be an incredible experience this year. I can tell already just from the people who are in there. So do jump in with us. It's going to be fantastic. And remember, you don't have to stress about the time commitment. You're going to learn ways to be far more productive and efficient. That flow, that freedom. You're going to have that support, the collaboration, and the community to make more money, to enjoy the blood and bling, right? Well, it's all part of that process. It's all part of that moving forward. And I really think it's going to just, I know without a doubt, this is going to transform the world. And I would love to see you in this with me. So just some really important dates for you guys to know. If you want to get that private coaching call, register by August 13th. The doors close on the 23rd, and we have our welcome call on the 25th. All right, so I did have some questions that were sent via email, and I picked these 3 because they were really quite interesting to me. But please shoot your questions into the chat box if you have them. Paola, sorry if I just butchered your name. Is this session going to be uploaded somewhere on the web? Couldn't come here since the beginning and it sounds so interesting. Yes, it is. We are recording right now, and God willing, it will convert smoothly and upload easily, and we'll have it up and out. There is an email scheduled to go out with a replay page on it for like a few hours from now. So those of you who are not in the States can watch it, and the rest of us can go to bed and then, you know, see it in the morning. But if it all goes well, fingers crossed, we'll have it uploaded and ready to go for you within just a few hours of ending the session today. And if you have any questions, you're absolutely welcome to ask, and go to that link that's above. Maybe Carrie wouldn't mind copy and pasting it and putting it in the chat box again. And because there's a lot more information and details about the school in there as well. I have questions about the timing and structure of the school. Are the sessions live and interactive? So the content is not live, but a lot of the content is very short, sweet videos. There are guest teachers that taught previously, and they are pre-recorded because, well, not pre-recorded, they're recorded because they taught live previously. And there are teachers that will be coming in and teaching live. So it's a bit of everything. The masterminds are all live. The co-working sessions are all live. And those are all opportunities to chat and ask questions and get into things. So there's a lot of interactive space. We also have a Facebook group, so you can always post and chat in there as well. The depth of the hormonal study, optimum levels, et cetera. Yeah, so we talk about what the ideal is in things. We get into some details, and we will get into more details as the school evolves. So things, so some things are very detailed. We've gotten, you know, guest teachers that have come in and shared, and some things are not as of now, and we will do more of it. There's also the certification presentation. So those of you who want your certification will also be presenting to the community, to the school students. And that's another space where we get into more of those specifics. So some things are super, and you can always ask, right? So if you want more or deeper information on something, you're absolutely welcome to come and ask, and we can get into it and we can chat it out and do that research and find out. I know, like, I personally have dealt with a lot of clients with thyroid issues. So like, that's something where, you know, I've looked at test results from doctors and had those kinds of conversations. So, you know, yes, and we will do more. So as we get into things, also not trying to overwhelm everybody with every tiny detail in that all at once, right? So some people will have different areas of expertise and will need to know different things. So I'm not expecting everybody to be an expert on every single period problem and what that looks like and every, you know, everything that, like, in that situation. But a lot of the stuff we do talk about. So, you know, like the thyroid, for example, the normal window for a thyroid test is a lot wider than it feels. So you can be normal, but if you're under that 50% line, it feels not good. So really there's a difference between feeling normal and thriving. And that's kind of that above the halfway mark in the testing. So there's some conversations that, depending on what country you're in and how you do your tests and whether it's blood serum or saliva or whatever, you need to have that conversation with your doctor as well. Like, what is the spectrum for your doctor and how do they do the testing, and having that conversation, which is where we as the coaches can come in and advocate and help our clients advocate for themselves with their doctors as well. Yeah, so Amy just said the community is a wonderful place to come and ask any questions in the areas that we weren't interested in becoming experts. And the information is available for the areas that we do. Is a great blend. Yeah, exactly. So it is a balance between making sure things are in balance and not overwhelming, and also getting that information. Otherwise, we could be here for years doing everything. There's a lot, right? But that's why it's, we do this program, but that doesn't mean that's the end of the education either. All right, so keep those questions coming. So this question from Natalie, and yes, I did get permission to put names and post these. So my main concern is I will be starting a business completely from scratch, which is a bit daunting. And I understand that and absolutely get that. And that's fine, right? This school is set up for people from every level, from 0 to 100. So no matter where you are on your business creation journey, you definitely are going to be in community. And there are people in the school that already have successful, thriving businesses, and people who just want to get started and don't know what they want to do yet. So no matter where you are, it's there, and having the support and having the community and having the experts and the people to help and learn and to help you, right? Like, you can post something and say, hey, I'm doing my very first, webinar. Here's the slides I'm going to use. What do you guys think? Or I've created a flyer for this event. Can you guys help me make it even better? Every step along the way, right? So we have that community, we have that support for this. And of course, yes, time management is part of what we're going to talk about, because being organized makes a huge difference. And that, right? So that being organized and learning to manage your time efficiently is certainly part of the process. I should say I'm an INTJ. My superpower is making things easier and more efficient. It's just like what I do. So, this other question about physical sports and falling apart during your bleed, the low energy and feeling off. This is actually kind of goes back to that question earlier about having an irregular cycle, right? If you're falling apart during your menstrual phase, there's a hormonal imbalance. Something's not working properly. So step one is helping them get their hormones back in balance. And that will make a change. And then getting all of that support and knowing what you need and knowing how to set up, like I did for that huge multi-100-person event from stage at the worst part of my cycle. So there's all sorts of ways that you can help support and get people back on track, is being in that, helping them get back to that balance. And then how to start. If we're not working with clients or women yet, how do we get out there? What's the best way to do coaching? Which I love that question, because there is no best way to do coaching. Truly, whatever turns you on, lights you up, gets you excited is the best niche. And this is where the part of her question is: focus on the topics and symptoms to go with what the women are asking. Is it better to focus on a certain category like puberty or fertile years or perimenopause, right? It doesn't matter. If you love what you're doing and you're excited about it and you're having a really good time with it, you're going to love it. And you may not love it the first, when you first start, right? So when I started coaching because I just had such a bad period And I was a dancer and I taught ballet and Pilates and yoga and ballet bar. And I was a bartender because, all that other stuff doesn't really pay the bills in New York City and Los Angeles. So I was doing very physically demanding, hard jobs, and I was tired. And I just wanted to be able to support myself without having to take a bunch of drugs and feel like crap and go do it anyway. So I realized I had 20 more years. I needed to make a change. And so I thought, I'm going to become a health coach and I'm going to work with athletes. That's what I've done since I was 3. So I thought easy peasy, right? Well, I did work with athletes, except that they were all women and they all had period problems. And that 20 years of trying to fix my own period, I was able to fix all of theirs. And that was like such a huge moment for me where I just went, oh my God, I don't want to work with athletes. I want to help relieve all of this stress and symptoms and trauma and pain that women are going through with their periods. That was a huge shift for me. So just getting started showed me that. Now, the next thing I did was work with hormonal imbalances. And I worked with a lot of people with PMS. And I realized I don't want to do one-on-one coaching with people with PMS. I was getting yelled at a lot. It's not like they were coming to with me because they had a mild case of the mood swings. They were coming to me because they had really bad mood swings and they would take it out on me. And that's part of the, that process. And I get that. And we would see changes and things would get better. But I just got really tired about it because, again, I was dealing with my own period problems. So it was too much for me. And I thought, okay, well, they all have businesses and we are being able to make a really good progress with their businesses and flow. So I'm going to get out of the hormonal balance gig and I'm going to get into the business hormonal balance gig and help work with women with businesses and menstruators with businesses. And that's when I went, oh, this is what I'm good at. This is what I love doing. It challenges me, right? So that INTJ of me who likes to do puzzles and is obsessive and can't just walk away from an unfinished puzzle. That was like, oh, this is the best. And not only do I get to work on that hormonal balance puzzle, but I get to work on their business puzzle and help them succeed. Like I love doing that. So that's really what happened. So just getting out there, starting, working with clients, nothing that you do is ever set in stone. You can always shift and transform your business. I mean, if you look at the most successful business people, they have a variety of different interests and they branch out and do different things, right? So you can always change, you can always switch niches, you can always evolve or morph. It's all part of the growing process. So especially if you're not working with anyone yet, you need to go do all that kind of stuff, right? So that you can learn and change and see what you really truly love and enjoy. Oh, I see we've got an ENTJ in the house. Woo woo. Awesome, Rachel. I love it. One thing I love about Stasha is she gets you to celebrate, focusing on what's working and celebrating has helped me so much. Yeah, absolutely. Flow Freedom gently takes you into the school. It's a bite-sized segment which worked so well for me and didn't overwhelm me whilst I was working as well. Yeah, the reason that Flow Freedom is small bite-sized bits of content is because we are trying to get back into balance. And it's easier if we can just start in these small little bits that aren't overwhelming, that you can make some real change in. And then we get into more of the like, this is what's happening. These are the hormones. This is what it's supposed to be. This is how it affects you. And we get into those bigger, juicier, in-depth conversations as we get into your business, your flow, and into the school, like period coaching content as well. Excellent. All right. All right. I don't see any more questions in the chat box. So, and we're here. Are the mastermind and co-working sessions structured? The co-working sessions are structured. They're POMs. So we'll work together in POMs. You're always welcome to jump in, ask questions as you're working, or, we'll share kind of like, here's what I'm going to be working on for this POM. 25-minute or 20-minute, it depends on like the day and what's going on, but basically a 25-minute time of working, and then we'll come back, take a stretch break, that kind of thing, and then go back into the co-working. The mastermind is structured in that we'll have that initial conversation. We'll talk about maybe the content that we have looked at recently. But you're always welcome to ask any question in the masterminds. So, if you're somebody who's working with clients, say already, and in the very first mastermind, you have a client you want to ask a question about, you're welcome to. So the masterminds are structured in that we'll look at the content, or we'll talk about the content, or, ideally focus on some of those questions. But you're always welcome to come in and ask whatever you need to.
What's a POM?
A Pomodoro. So it's a process of technically it's 25 minutes of work and then 5 minutes of stretch, looking into the distance, getting some sunshine, walking away, grabbing a new cup of tea or whatever, and then coming back and working. In a co-working session, what we do is basically say, this is what I'm going to work on for the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then we'll come back. Maybe you have a question, maybe you just want to shift what you're working on, or we just go get tea and come back, whatever you need to do. Pee break, whatever. And then we start the clock again and we do another session of working. For extroverts, it's very helpful for them to work in co-working. But even as a huge introvert, I find the co-working sessions really helpful for just knocking some stuff out. So I have them in the group this year because it's just been so helpful. And how would you describe the energy required over the 9 months? Does it ramp up over time? Yeah, kind of. So I've structured it with the year cycle in mind. So September and October, when we're in Flow Freedom, which is that bite-sized stuff, and we have a short little call each week with Flow Freedom, because it is a standalone program that people can join year round. So we do have that. And then in November and December, it's the business section where we go into those hormones that are deeper. And I've set it up so that you get that 2 months worth of content available all at once, because it's structured by phase. So, luteal, menstrual, follicular, ovulation, and we go into the hormones for that, what they should look like, what it should feel like, and then how to use that for your business. And we give you I give you those 2 months because frankly, there's a ton of holidays in there. You might want to take a 2-week break. You might want to take, American Thanksgiving. You may want to take the last week of November off or whatever. So we have a bit more open structure in those 2 months so that everyone can enjoy their holidays in the way that they best feel. And then in January, we start putting together, that's when we start having the guest speakers and the certification presentations, which honestly just depends on when they and I are free. So I can't really say, you'll have one a week or anything like that. We have the ones that have been recorded previously that you'll be getting, but, there may be like 1 week where, we just happen to have a certification presentation and a guest speaker and 2 guest speakers or something, because that's just how our schedules worked out. But everything's recorded and you can come back and watch them at your leisure. And I'm not expecting everyone to watch every single video because your niche may not need this information, right? So you're best judge of what you need, and it'll always be available for you. So if you watch, these ones that you think are really important, but then, next year you get a client who asks you something, you can come back and have a watch later if you want. So studying for the master's, and we'll finish in November. Yeah. So I have a client who's been doing that as well. I get it. It's a lot to do. So really, I don't think it will be a problem because those Flow Freedom videos are under 10 minutes. They're like 8-10 minutes. And you can just watch them as you want. Like you could go through Flow Freedom and just go, I'm just going to do the taste for these 2 months. And I'm just going to work on that sense for myself, or I'm going to do a different sense in each phase. So you can kind of just decide how you want to do it, what works best for you. I know Jody has a great story. She was being resistant to, she wanted to do everything in order. As soon as she got the permission to not have to watch every video in order exactly, she got a lot more done. So none of this is, there's no perfect, right? There's no perfect menstrual cycle. That's not a thing. There's no perfect way to approach it. That's not a thing either. So I think it'll work out just fine for you, Joe, honestly. And you can use that co-working time in the community as well to work on your masters if you want. Like, it's your co-working time. I use that co-working time to work on stuff. Sometimes it's got nothing to do with business. Like, by the end of this year, I need to use some of that co-working time to figure out health insurance in the state of Florida. Let's see. In July, I committed to working on smell, ended up going with sound instead, and it's been awesome. Yes, exactly. Right. And that's the thing. Like, I still go back to the Flow Freedom content, even though I created it, and sometimes go, I know what, I haven't really thought about smell for a while. I'm going to go back and watch those smell videos and see what just calls to me to try this time. Especially if I'm feeling anxious or stressed or overwhelmed by a bunch of stuff, like getting a master's, that's a really good time to work on with that stuff, because it can really help bring those stress and anxieties down. Yeah. How much focus is there on perimenopause and menopause, or content aimed more towards younger women? My clients tend to be mid 40s plus. Yeah, so we have a perimenopause guest teacher who came in and talk about that. I'm talking to somebody about a menopause class for this year as well. The content's aimed for everybody. So, you're not going to need to watch the video of, like, well, I'm working on finding a teacher for the teens, but let's assume that we get a teacher who'll come in and talk about your hormonal shifting in your teens. Well, don't watch that one, right? Watch the ones that tend to be in their mid 40, in the later years. So Rasha said, I'm interested in YBYF. Do I have to wait until November to start it? I'm also not sure, but I think I've done your Flow Freedom already. Yeah, well, the content will come out in November, but like I said, you're always welcome to jump into the masterminds and ask questions and get into things. So if you want to jump into that first mastermind and say, hey, this is what I want to do in my business, then let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, we can always chat things out for you specifically in the masterminds. But I want everyone to come in and spend those first 2 months getting in sync, getting in touch with their bodies, even if it's with the moon and it's not your menstrual cycle, even if it's with the moon. It's also bringing us into sync, right? So us as a school, as a community, getting, on the same page, getting the same vocabulary, getting the same ideas, getting the same information, and just getting ourselves in sync. Because you might say, like, okay, I'm going to do this launch. I want to do it with Flow. Let's talk about it during the mastermind. And someone will say, okay, yeah, I think you need to also be in, go into the spirit modules of Flow Freedom and do the journaling work with the launch in mind, right? So having that foundation really makes a big difference in your success with the business section. Who would watch that? I have 2 sons, and over my dead body will they be ignorant about the stuff? Yes. That's what I like to hear. Well, it's on my wish list for this year to have a teacher for that. So I'm looking forward to finding a fantastic person who can, right? I've asked somebody already who's just crazy busy in the coming year. So I'm looking, so we'll find somebody. I'm looking forward to redoing Flow Freedom. The refresher's all filled with new insights. I know I'm looking forward to redoing Flow Freedom with everybody. In fact, like a month ago, I was like, I should probably go do Flow Freedom again. It's taking me time to implement all of this. Yeah, it's never done. because you're shifting, right? You go into your 30s and then you go into your 40s and your hormones shift and you come back to basics. Like you're always, it's never ending. And that's not a bad thing. Like we think of never ending as like, oh my God, this is never going to end. But it is. And you have a limited amount of time to really enjoy this experience. And then it's gone. So absolutely do it over and over and over again. Get deeper and deeper into it. Every time I start to feel overwhelmed or anxious, I go, well, it's time to just double down on flow. I need to get more in flow. My boys are all phase educated. Love that. And I have a friend who has 2 sons and she has really bad periods and she's taught her sons about periods and they're little, but they ask her if they can give her a foot massage when she gets her period because it makes her feel better. And they will ask, Mom, do you have your period? Can we give you foot massages? I mean, I love that. I started thinking about being more open with my son late. He's 19 now, and because of Stasha, I started talking to him seriously about it a year or so ago. It's never too late. No, it's not. It's never too late. That's absolutely right. Carrie said, I recently read an article about boys that didn't have sisters, but carried pads in their backpacks for their high school female friends. Yeah, you know what? I saw a great video of a guy, like a teen boy, who was talking to his friends, like to his dude friends, about being prepared for their female friends. And it was very cool. Did you say in Flow Freedom there's a weekly call, or is that just for our group? It's for the Flow Freedom community. So it's actually a Facebook Live into the Flow Freedom community. Our masterminds are separate and they're on Zoom. So you don't have to come to those. It's just if you want to, because you can ask questions in the mastermind, but I do open the doors for Flow Freedom again, because it's just such a small, short, easy program. So we do that, which the school students, some of them came to those, some of them didn't. You certainly don't have to. You can always ask your questions in the mastermind. So that's really entirely up to you.
But we could.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
For those of us who are extroverted.
Yeah, you're invited to everything. That's why you'll see alumni in this year's community, because they want to come and play again with everybody. So you're absolutely invited. You're welcome to come to everything. Like Amy, our Aussie graduate alumni, who gets up at an unbelievable hour of the morning, will show up sometimes on calls. It's like 3 a.m. where she is, but she's like, I'm awake. It's quiet in my house. I'm coming. So you're absolutely welcome to come to everything you want to. And just, you know your boundaries best. What do you need? Like sometimes I like kind of just sitting back and watching a call when I'm feeling not so actively and engaged, but then sometimes I'm like, I want to go in and play. I came to everything on Aussie time. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know everyone says this, but my community is the best. The people that have come to my stuff have just been so empathetic and understanding and active and engaged, and they're just the best people. So, you want to come to things. I get it. But there is going to be a lot of calls just because we have people all over the world. I'm seriously thinking we're going to need to have 3 masterminds a month and 3 co-working sessions a month, just so that the UK, Africa people will be awake, and the Aussie, China people, Malaysia people will be awake. So I don't know. I've got 2 and 2 scheduled for each month right now. We might shift some of those times depending on where everybody ends up being from. But yeah, it's very cool. Jane said we come in our PJs and bedhead because it's deep Loodle and it's totally cool. I come to calls from bed with my rose tinted glasses to help with the sight, in my pajamas with a hot water bottle on my abdomen, and kind of take a seat and let you guys lead masterminds from time to time. So, you know, uh, we all work with flow. We all understand flow. And I have a tough period. And I'm very clear when I am like, I'm deep luteal, or I just got my period, guys. So we've got this mastermind, and I'm going to be in bed, and I'm going to have my pink glasses on, and my hair is going to be in a sloppy bun on top. And I'm going to ask you guys to do a lot of the sharing. I'm going to let you answer the questions first, and I'll chime in if I feel like I need to add in, so I'm the regular crying one. Yes, but Jane, we love you. That's okay. I've been brought to tears a number of times myself, so that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. It is a very accepting community of our limitations. And that's okay. That's part of the learning process, right? I mean, we'll learn like how things feel and how that happens. The schedule for masterminds, well, we've got some scheduled on, the masterminds are basically on Wednesday. They're Wednesdays as of now, but I think we might have to add in an extra one, and it might go in on a Thursday. Although for the Aussies, that's, Thursday and Friday. But yeah, I haven't set them in stone yet, so I don't, but they're not always going to be the same. So sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. And that just kind of comes down to like we're looking at almost a full year. So we're looking at holidays and events, and, so yes, there are some masterminds and co-working sessions that are already posted in the community. So like when you sign up, you'll get into the Facebook group, you'll get the events and the calendar and everything. But they're not set in stone yet. So I think the morning one might just get moved earlier so that the Malaysia people who are a direct 12 hours opposite of me will be able to attend. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. So there'll be like an early morning, really early morning for the Pacific Coast, early morning for the East Coast, and then like a mid-afternoon, and then maybe an evening one is what we might have to tack on. So yeah, not sure. But one of the things that I can do, because we have a limited amount of people who are allowed to join the school, which I probably should have mentioned, but we have a finite amount of people who can join. And I do that because I just want to make sure that everybody has a chance. So if you're looking at the schedule and it's like, I'm never going to be able to make any of these calls, let me know. And maybe we rearrange some things, maybe we switch some things around, but I want to make sure that everyone can jump on. So yeah. So if there's ever something like that, just let me know. I know last year we had one person in the UK time zone, and we added calls every set of calls we added one just so that she could be there. So, so yeah, I really want to make it accessible for everybody. Obviously we can't cater to everybody, but, I really do. So if you ever have a problem, you can just email me and we'll figure it out. I'm very much a solutions-oriented person. We will find a solution to these problems. Again, it's that INTJ in me. Awesome. Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions pop up. So I'm gonna, oh my goodness, we are like right at the 2-hour mark. That is beautiful. All right, so if you have any additional questions, you can email me. You're also welcome. Go to that page. We'll pop it in there one more time. Go to the page. If you scroll down, there's one to set up an appointment with me. If you feel like you need to chat something out one-on-one with me, just know that yes, there are limited amounts of seats. That's true. So if you really want it, just go and jump in. I would rather have a conversation with you, have your spot saved. And then if it turns out to be something you don't want to do, just refunding you that initial payment or something so that you don't lose your seat really at the end of the day. So just let me know, or just email me, and, again, we can just chat it out. So I'm very approachable and very happy to work things out with you. So just let me know. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Okay. I know we have winners to announce. So what I'm going to do for the copy of the book, because I know that some of you here already have it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everybody here right now to email me, stasha@theperiodcoach.com, if you want to be entered to win. You have to do this within the next hour, and literally stasha@theperiodcoach.com. I want to win the book in the subject line, or just book in the subject line. And I will put you in a drawing, and I'll draw live on my like Insta stories or my Facebook page or something. And I'll draw a winner. But if you don't, this way, if you're on the replay, sorry guys, you had to be here live for it. So you've got to send me that email right now. And then I'll draw a winner for you guys. And I'll send it out for whomever the winner is. I think that's the best compromise because I don't want to keep you guys here any longer. I promised 2 hours. So that way you can someone will win the copy. And then I have a digital copy as well. And I know I said US only on here, but you know what? I don't care. If you want a physical copy of the book, let me know. If you want a digital copy of the book, feel free to specify. But send me that email and I'll pick a winner for the physical and I'll pick a winner for the digital, okay? And I might even send out a Enter the Red Circle charting book that I have. You get a digital version of this when you join the school, and you actually get a digital version of my planner as well, the business flow planner as well. So, you know, throw your hat in the ring, and you know, if I get enough entries, I may throw that in the pot as well. Or maybe I'll do it with the school students when we start. Ooh, maybe that'll be something we do on the welcome call, is win a copy of the book. I don't know. I just got an idea. Carrie, write that down. All right, guys, I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for the support and the love and everything with this. I really appreciate everyone. Thank you for the alumni for being here and sharing your experiences and answering questions as well. I really, really appreciate you guys being, again, the rising tide that helps lift all the boats. So thank you very much. And I will see all of you in class very soon. Bye, guys.